loves, I'm Janice Savon, and welcome back to my channel, Love Done Right, where we get the girls praying with prayer journals and prompts. And today I'm gonna talk about a subject that I have not been super excited to talk about, but I feel like it's necessary. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Today I'm gonna be sharing with you 3 ways how prayer journaling helps me heal and helps me find peace through grief and hard times. Everybody goes through hard times. This is life, and we just gotta be honest about that. And if you have not endured any hard times yet, keep on living and you most certainly will. When I encounter hard times, my self-care of choice, my processing method of choice has always been and will always be prayer journaling. I started this habit as a girl, and now at almost 40 years old, prayer journaling has brought me through, okay? It has brought me through so many different things and has helped me to process and gather myself and get understanding from God when life is just throwing me lemons, child. I've been thinking about this topic for some time now, and if I'm honest, I've been a little bit nervous about sharing about it because it's still very much a sensitive subject for me, and I also want to be respectful of my husband's privacy as well. As you may or may not know, I think I shared it a couple videos back, we have endured pregnancy loss, and multiple, not just one, multiple. So that is a very, very, very difficult thing to endure. But all praises to the Most High Yah. We are standing strong and our faith remains strong. But like I said, I've been a little bit hesitant about discussing this topic because it's just really sensitive. It is really sensitive. And it is not an easy thing to go through for myself as the woman and also the husband. You know, men got feelings too, girls, okay? And it is difficult. It's just very, very difficult and oftentimes very hard to put into words exactly what you are feeling. So I wanted to approach this topic with sensitivity and with education. And I wanted to be a help to anybody out there, whether you're grieving the loss of a child or the loss of anything, whether you are just having a hard time in life right now, you can get to God through the written word. And you can go through and come out on the other side stronger and better than ever. So I want to share with you all 3 ways that prayer journaling is helping me to continue to heal, and it's also helping me to find peace through any hard time that I may face. So grief is a very tricky thing, right? We all go through hard times and we grieve multiple things. We grieve the loss of a loved one. We grieve the breakdown of a marriage. We grieve the loss of a job, or even just the familiarity that we have in our old life or had in our old life, and now we are moving to a new phase in our lives, and sometimes we grieve that as well, whether we know it or not. And grief is very, very tricky because it shows up in multiple ways and it does not always warn you. So as I go through these things of how prayer journaling has helped me to even move through the sometimes very scary and very tricky phases of grief, I want to tell you a little bit about grief as well. So first things first is to know grief has a very tricky way of uprooting your emotions and revealing your emotions and your state of mind and where you are outside of the current thing that you are grieving. So for example, you know, we had multiple miscarriages, but as I was grieving those losses, other things that I had never processed or other things that I'd never faced came up. So here I am working through my feelings with these losses, but this other thing is saying, hey girl, this is similar to that. It's not exactly the same way, but it's similar to that. And these emotions that you have over here are the same ones that you have over here. So grief is very tricky in that way. You will be grieving one thing, right? You have this one thing in front of you that's like you're facing, you're trying to work through, and you're trying to get through and process, but then something else from the back of your mind or something else from the recesses of your life 20 years ago will be like, hey girl, remember me? You never processed. So here I am showing up at your lowest moment. And that is just, it can be extremely overwhelming and very, very difficult to navigate. So prayer journaling has helped me to navigate it because it forces me to take the feelings as they come, process them one at a time. So even though I have this one thing in front of me, if this other thing from 10 years ago that happened with my neighbor or whatever comes up, I am then forced to say, okay, I know I'm dealing with this, so why are you here? And in that space of prayer journaling and talking to the Most High and listening to Him as well, because prayer journaling is not just about you writing, it's also about you listening and discerning His voice in this space. It helps me to take the emotions one at a time and process and say, okay, how is this even connected? Is it connected? And that has been such a blessing to me, because I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I have tended to take all my feelings and just smush them together, and they just all intertwined and just connected and jumbled up and tied up together. And those things may not even really have anything to do with one another, but because I am so emotional and stressed, I have tied it all up. And so taking the time to prayer journal and face the feelings one at a time and bring them to the Most High one at a time, that has been such a blessing to me, okay? To just slow down and take things one at a time and listen to the Father, even as He is speaking to me while I am sharing, this is how I feel, this is what I thought went wrong, I don't know what to think about this. Listening to Him as well, because that is major key in prayer journaling. The next thing that you need to know about grief is that it has an incredible way of humbling you, right? So you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the riches in the world, you can be in the best tip-top shape of your life, you can be at your peak, but grief can come in and sucker punch you in a way that reminds you that you are not your own, okay? And you cannot do everything on your own. It was in the place of grief that the Most High said to me, you need to get counseling. So I signed up for therapy. And that was such a blessing. And now I'm at a space where I'm pulling back a little bit from therapy, and I have the tools now to move forward. But certainly in my prayer journaling time, that was a space where the Most High was able to speak to me and say, okay, you're doing good. You are taking things at one thing at a time, but now you need assistance. Now you need help, because sometimes we can be so stuck in our head and running our stories over in our head 1,001 times that sometimes we need somebody else to come and just help us navigate to the next street. Sometimes we're so overwhelmed and so filled with grief and stress and anxiety and all these things that we can't decipher what is the next move to make, even when we are talking to God. So He'll say, okay, you need to get into some counseling. And that's what He did with me. And the word of the Lord backs that up as well. In Proverbs 11:14, it says, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And certainly that is such a testament of my life. I had hit a brick wall. I was doing my prayer journaling and talking to God, but it was in that space of prayer journaling that He said, okay, you need more help, because you're walking in a circle. You're not listening 100% to me. And so now I need you to go and find someone to counsel you, to help you to put things back into perspective, to help you to get back in your lane and get into the right space. And it has been one of the best decisions of my life. And the last thing that I want to share is that grief is, again, tricky. It is one of those things that never goes away. It absolutely never, ever goes away. And because it never goes away, it can feel like a lifelong burden. But I want to share with you that there is hope. Even though grief does not go away, if you take the time to bring your grief to God in prayer, in your prayer journaling time, you will learn that it doesn't go away, but what you learn is how to live with it and how to live life abundantly with it as well. Prayer journaling reminds us that even though these things happen, the pain does not last always. And that has been major key. That was one of the things that helped me to say, okay, I'm still alive. I got breath in my body. The Most High still has purpose and promise for my life. I'm going to get up and I'm going to live intentionally. And so I'm just so grateful to the Most High, because going through any type of pain, any type of hard time, any type of grief is a lot. It is a lot. And we see so many people who are, giving up on life. We see so many people, especially on social media, who are just pouring out their heart onto social media, which is so dangerous because everybody on there does not love you. Everybody on there does not have good intentions for you. That's why we prayer journal, okay? Because the Most High has good thoughts that he thinks towards us. He has a plan to give us life and hope and life more abundantly in a future. And so prayer journaling has been so instrumental in my growth. It has been so instrumental in my faith and planting my roots down deep in the Word of God. Because as I said a couple of videos ago, prayer journaling can be whatever you want it to be. You can sit in that space and brain dump, or it can be a space of Bible study for you. And certainly when you are grieving, prayer journaling is a great space to pour out your feelings and your emotions, but also to let the Most High speak to you and take you back to his word so that you can be strengthened and replenished, and so that your faith can be rebuilt. So I hope that this video was a blessing to you. If you are struggling, if you're going through, if you're having a hard time, do not give up. Do not lose sight. Do not lose hope. Trust and believe that the Most High has got your back and that he is going to bring you through. And do not forget to take time for yourself. Yes, you may be grieving and going through, and bills and things got to be paid, but don't let that grief just ride on your back, okay? Process your feelings, process your emotions, take it to the Most High in prayer. And prayer journaling is a really, really great place to start that. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop a comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will speak to you in the next one. Love you.